We're just waiting for the attendees to kind of populate and show up, and that started tonight. You like the foraging videos? Excellent. There's going to be a whole series all throughout the fall and winter, and hopefully somebody will learn something. That's what we're looking for. How is the audio? Are you hearing everything okay? $7.99 from the UK, watching for years. Yep. Alessandro is with us. John Hoover from Midland, Texas. 188 is with us. Bonsi Core is with us. Paul H. Vasilios, good to see you. Jimmy King, ITR. Josh Ricks. It's good to have you here. We're going to be talking about dating after a certain age. It's not going to be a whole bunch of topics tonight. It's going to be this one topic: dating after a certain age. What age is that, you say? Maybe a little bit older than 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever. Maybe we can just say about people's dating experiences, and we're going to have a panel discussion. This should be pretty good. Lucas is with us. Thea is with us. Good old Thea. Nice to see everybody tonight. Yeah. The beard is growing, like I actually just trimmed 2 inches off of it. And I just want it just to be a little more, be my neck, a little interested in Duck Dynasty or ZZ Top. Lucas says, hit that like button, y'all. That's right. Music engineer is with us tonight. David from South Dakota. Good to have you in the house. Hey, if you pick up one nugget tonight, you'll notice that this is not a channel where we get on and bitch and moan and complain. There's plenty of other channels where you can complain. This just isn't one of them. They have an over 50s dating site called Our Time. Should sudden death over time, you get ghosted there. You get ghosted there, you send flowers. That's pretty funny. Paul is auditing tonight's stream. That's good. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Anyone who's interested in being on the panel tonight certainly is welcome to be on. If you want to be on the panel and discuss things in an intelligent manner, I would welcome it. We tend to prefer intelligent discussions on this channel. Yeah. Paul, session. Yes, sir. You can do that, and we can get to the bottom of what ails you. Yeah. Tonight I just have a cross in the upper portion of the screen. John, that doesn't leave you out. You have to say. You have a lot to say. Now that you're back home, we can abuse you here. It was hard to abuse you when you were in the Ukraine, so now we can do it here. Grateful Nihilist says, are you a Hall & Oates fan? Yes, I am. Very much so. Very, very much so. So what's going to happen is, what I'm thinking is putting some mature folks on the panel tonight. Any of the younger gang who wants to ask a question, just my opinion. We'll get opinions from some other people. So I think that'll be kind of fun. AR from Iraq, correct? My wife calling in coordinates to artillery units. I hate when that happens. I hate when that happens. I'm in a great mood. I had a bean soup tonight with ham hocks in it that was cooking since yesterday, and it was magnificent. I let all the fat melt off of ham hocks, so it's a very fatty soup, and it's wonderful. Yeah. Am I converting to Eastern Orthodoxy? I will tell you, my mother is Russian Orthodox, so that's part of my personal history. Do I want to start dating 80-year-old women? She's got experience. Nah, not interested in dating 80-year-old women. Although I know plenty of 80-year-old women, I just don't. Just not interested in that. It was an efficient day at work. Tomorrow is going to be an efficient day at work. A lot of coaching this week. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm looking forward to that. Some new clients and some ongoing clients. It's 2 a.m. in Iraq. Can't believe you're up. I can't believe you are up. Charlie Murphy says, favorite cigar at the moment. I don't have a favorite cigar. I usually, I get so inundated with cigars. I don't complain. believe me, my humidor gets filled up with gifts all the time. John Hoover, if available, I welcome you to be on the stream tonight. Thea, if you are available, I'd like you to be on the stream tonight if you're available, if you'd like to. Everyone's got to be comfortable. You know, everyone's got to like set up their background and that kind of thing. I prefer that if you're on a PC, that it's stable, and if you have a phone, you put it on a tripod or up against a book, so you're not like holding it and the screen is all over the place. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring some people on and start talking about some of these things. We are going to start talking about the issues. Well, there's Jerry.
Hi.
Hey there. Hey Jerry, could you put the light that you turn that on?
Yeah.
The one that's like behind you.
Yes, I'll turn that off. Okay.
Awesome.
That?
Thanks.
Better. Okay, sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Perfect.
So I think I can hear.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Oh, in this, will there be a big group? Okay.
Thea is working right now. That's right, Thea, you're on the West Coast, so it's 3 hours prior. John Hoover, if you want to, hold on, I will post the link. Let's see here. John, I just posted the link. How perfect. How perfect. The topic for tonight, and we're going to get a panel of about 4 people on here, and we're going to take questions. We're going to talk a little bit, and then questions from younger viewers. So it's going to be a more mature crowd. Noticed how I said mature and not older. And age is just a number until your joints don't work.
True.
We have people in from Iraq. And there is John Hoover. John, are you doing Austin, Texas, or Midland, Texas, or where's your location tonight?
Austin. I was heading out to Midland to go to Alpine to take care of a little bit of personal business that was long overdue.
Excellent. Good. Grateful Nihilist says, Jerry, rocking the great hair. Nice to meet you. So there we go.
No.
So we're gonna find one more person now. Thea is on the West Coast, so obviously she's 3 hours behind my time, Eastern time, and we'll see who shows up tonight. This is completely random, completely unplanned, and we're going to talk about dating after a certain age. And you're going to get some, I don't want to say old person wisdom, because I guess that's a relative term. We're going to talk about mature wisdom, people who've been around the block a little bit and who might have some wisdom to share with the younger guys. So what I'm asking the younger crowd is, if you have any questions about dating, about friendships with the opposite sex, dating. All right, here we go. Ethan has a question. George, any experience dating girls from other countries? So there we go. We have our first question. Any experience? So we'll ask this to all the guests on the show tonight. Any experience dating people from other countries. I will start that first. Yes, I had a girlfriend in Poland, and that was fun when I was doing a speaking tour there, and she was my interpreter, and that just worked perfect. So, and then COVID hit, and then borders closed, and the big giant party pooper happened for the past 2 years. So, how about you, John? Any experience dating anyone from another country?
Yes, quite a lot. In my 20s, I moved to the UK, so just about every girl I went out with was from another country. But I was engaged to a Greek girl who.
All right, we're back now. Any experience dating anyone from another country? Have you ever had that phenomenon in your life? And what kind of comments do you have on that?
Yeah, I do. I was engaged to a Greek girl while I was living in the UK. And you have cultural differences, you have language. In her case, she spoke perfect English, but word meanings and phrases sometimes gets lost. You know, we have our Americanisms, they have their Britishisms and Greekisms and things of this nature. Religious differences, she was Greek Orthodox. And, you know, but we managed to work through most of it, you know, just patience and time. You have to be open. Both parties have to be open.
John, were you a deep sea diver at the time?
Oh yeah.
Was that?
Yeah, that was during my North Sea period. That was part of the reason why the relationship ended, because she just got scared of my occupation.
Okay.
And I can't really fault her for that.
You know, it's funny. I know a lot of police officers and their wives, and you know, the reality is every time they leave the house in the morning, there's a possibility they might not come back. That's always a possibility, and there's many careers like that where when the husband kisses the wife goodbye in the morning, you know, that could be the last kiss. That's why it's always important to bury the hatchet, to settle things before you go to bed, and start each day new. I think that's super important. Jerry,
but it's also
go ahead.
It's also important that your partner understands what you do, and that she is comfortable with that risk you take.
Yeah.
If it's going to work out. I mean, you just don't meet her in July, marry in October, and expect it to go okay if you're on the SWAT team or commercial diver, or fireman, or construction worker.
Yeah. I get that. All right, Jerry, how about yourself? Have you ever dated anyone abroad? Anyone from another country?
I have not. So.
Okay. Bless you, my sister. All right, and we have a question here. This is a great question. Benjamin Quinlan says, "Hey, I'm going to be a father for the first time, always looking for advice." So we'll start with Jerry. Here's a young man who's going to be a father for the first time. What would you tell him?
I would tell him to help your wife as much as possible after the birth of the baby. My own experiences many years ago, having children, it would have been nice to have help. And I see my son helps his wife, and it's just great. And my son-in-law has helped my daughter, and it's such I think you get closer to your children as well as closer to your wife when you are an active participant.
Yeah.
Tell your wife.
Okay. Excellent.
time in their life when they do beautiful. So that's important too.
Yeah. Okay. How about you, John? Advice for a man who's going to be a father for the first time.
You need to get over your poop and projectile vomiting phobias.
Yeah.
If you have those, what do you say? I mean, it's a team effort. Sleep now, you won't be later.
Yeah.
And it's a team effort. It makes it easier for everybody.
Right. I understand. We have one watcher says arranged marriages are legit, and says in the East they don't date, they get married because they get arranged. I know my grandparents had an arranged marriage, and that's how they did it in Russia. They, the parents said, I think my boy would make a good husband for your girl, and let's talk about it, and they made it happen. And they took the choice away from the young people, but they made it work. And to this day, from what I understand about arranged marriages, they are some of the most successful marriages. Why is that? Why is an arranged marriage, why do they have less divorce than modern Western marriages? What are your thoughts?
Should I quit? Okay.
Yeah, Jerry, go ahead.
They can really, I believe they can work. Here's my personal. I think, speaking from myself, when I got married, I was young. I was poor. I did not know who I was. I did not know what was important to me. I think parents know their children. When I look at my 3 children, particularly my oldest son and my daughter, it's interesting. The spouses that they chose, I could not have handpicked a better spouse myself. Fortunately, they were a little older when they got married and they knew themselves and what they were looking for. But I think a lot of times you don't know what you're looking for. And if you have parents who are really in tune, they know. And if they have presumably they have their children's best interests at heart, they can spot on, pick someone that it could work, that they would grow to love each other, respect each other, and have a successful marriage. That's just how I felt. I sort of wish my mother would have done that for me when I was young. But so I think they can work out just fine. And I have heard that their success rate is very high. So
yeah, I used to work for a doctor, a Korean lady, and she had an arranged marriage. Now, let's see, I was about maybe 35. She was probably 20 years older, 55. And that was the first person other than my own grandparents that I knew that had an arranged marriage. And one night I just grilled her about that, and I was like trying to poke holes in it, and she was as happy as can be. Absolutely no regrets at all, and they get along great, and the marriage is very functional. It's a business first, so to speak, and a romantic thing second. So I think there's a different opinion between the Eastern way of thought and the Western way of thought. I mean, I know in the Western world, we have like this, like I want to test drive the car. Before I buy a car, I want to test drive it. And I might test drive a lot of cars before I settle on one. Whereas in the East, they don't do that. And if you think about a parent wants the best for their children. Now, I keep my fingers crossed because I know my dad, what a prankster he is. And I can just see him saying, we picked out a woman for you. She's coming by tonight. Be ready. And knowing my dad's sense of humor, he would invite this obese woman over and just as a joke. And he knows I wouldn't say anything right to his face, but he's such a prankster that he's that kind of guy. Now, of course, we're decades beyond that. And it seems like arranged marriages are a thing of the past, but they are still happening in the East. Women tend to live with their parents until they get married. They go from daddy's house to the husband's house. And it's not one of these things where the father says, "Good, I'm glad she's gone." It's like, "Well, what do you have to offer me, young man?" Not that he's looking for a dowry and, like, a dozen cattle and a bunch of sheep and this kind of stuff, but like, how can you add to this family? That kind of thing. And the fathers were very rational and handled it in a non-emotional kind of way. Here we have Radu says, "I'm from Eastern Europe and we don't arrange marriages. The truth is we are more traditional. For example, the girl expects to get married if you date her for more than a year." Okay. Yeah. That's very interesting.
And may I
That's
say
why
Oh, go ahead.
you see a lot of young women married with children, like when I was in Romania and places like this. But you also see a higher divorce rate by the time these women start hitting 30. And, I don't know if they rush the social pressure or parental pressure to get married, pushes them into that, or what, there's as many reasons to end a marriage as, you can think of. But I did see that when I was over.
Yeah. Peg Bell is with us. Peg, I posted the link. If you would click it, I'd love to have you on. If you are so willing. You are of a similar age as the rest of us, so I think that would be kind of I think that would be a perfect team, the four of us talking about this issue. Peg, if you're interested, click the link, and I will give a little background of Peg. Peg is recently widowed. Peg is our age. Her husband passed away. She lives on a farm in Ohio, and after things settled, she got back out there and started dating a gentleman, and I believe was with him, she may correct me on this one, for a few years, and it wasn't that long ago that he passed away. So her husband passed away. A few years later, the man she was dating passed away. So Peg will be able to add some insight here as well. AR right now, who is calling from Iraq in the Middle East, says arranged marriage is usually in third world countries. You are marrying a woman, but you are marrying her family and tribe. You can't arrange divorce, though, because shame and family and tribal threats. That's very interesting.
George, on the arranged marriage thing, I don't have a lot of experience or knowledge, but I did trade my ex-wife and she wanted to be treated like a princess, so I said okay. And so I married her off to a lord in Poland for stronger alliances and a bit of land. So, it can work out.
All right. Now, of course, I had to wait a second because I knew you were joking on that one. But for a second there, I'm like, or was he joking?
Something else, if I may.
You need potatoes? What? No.
About arranged marriages, I think the thing is, parents, it seems to me, they pick a partner with similar morals, values, religious background, and I think that is very helpful. I know, again, speaking from personal experience, not pick someone like that. And yeah. I realized, because I was young, what kind of problems ultimately that causes down the road. So there is some validity to picking someone or having someone pick for you. I think morals and values more than not necessarily socioeconomic background, but specifically
right.
What things they find important, how they agree to raise children, what religion they want to bring those children up.
Yeah.
how important education is. You've got to be on the same page, I think.
I agree. Hey, John, in between you talking, if you could mute your mic in between, that would be great, because I think we're getting some sound from you.
Fan noise, how's that?
That's
Is that
better.
better?
That's better.
Peg Bell.
All right. Peg Bell is with us from Ohio.
Hello, my YouTube
Where's
family.
the Steely Dan intro music?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, leave it to
Well,
the music, man.
Peg, I hope I introduced you right before you came on, where I said you were married for over a couple decades to a gentleman. He passed away. When things settled down, you got back out there and you were dating another gentleman for a few years, of which you had sent me a picture of you and him. Nice looking man, had a beard. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm complimenting the beard, of course. But he recently passed away. How long has it been, Peg?
Oh, he passed on May the 21st of this year.
Wow, time flies. How are you doing?
I have good days and bad days, but,
Mhm.
you know, it's a price you pay for love.
Yeah, definitely.
Whew. Wasn't expecting all that, but, you know, it happens. So, but, I mean, it's true. It's true. And I tuned in late to the program, so I missed all the intro. And I'm thinking, my name doesn't have a J sound like George, Jerry, John. I'm a Peg. Oh, goodness.
Well, we're talking about dating after a certain age. And,
Yeah.
you fit that category, and
Mhm.
you can intelligently contribute to this conversation. And there is always a lot of younger people who are watching this program. I'll ask you one of the questions. There's a gentleman who's watching right now, and he is going to be a dad for the first time. Any advice for him, Peg?
Well, I'm not a mother, so I don't have any real life experience as far as personally, but you're going to be a family now. It's Mr. and Mrs. and baby too. And don't forget each other in the relationship, as well as, encompassing the baby into all of that love and caring. You're a unit of three now.
Yeah.
And best of luck and best of health. And, raise them right. Raise them right. Don't let society twist them.
Yeah.
Be a good
Peg,
role model.
How do you bounce back after the death of a spouse? Now you kind of had it twice. For instance, I didn't realize this. When I was at the forum in West Virginia a couple weeks ago, I met Pamela R.
Yes.
And if Pamela R is in the audience tonight, identify yourself and I'll put you on the panel. But she was with a guy for 10 years and he passed away. So is there a difference between being married to someone for 10 years and they die, and dating somebody for 10 years and they die? I still feel that you go through that widow thing.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, you do go through the widow thing because, marriage is one thing. When you have that relationship with a piece of paper on it and swore before God and uphold all that marriage vows are supposed to be. But if you're in a loving, committed relationship and you're got everything but the piece of paper to wave in the air, you still miss your person. There's no way around it. It's the price that you pay for having a relationship, a deep, meaningful relationship with, a mate. And
Yes.
It can't compare to the 25 years that I had with my husband. I mean, that was, totally, there was a lot of time invested and a lot of heart. And with Dan, there was a lot of heart invested. It was a shorter amount of time, but I still miss him deeply.
Yeah.
How can you not?
Sure.
But how I get through some of it is journaling.
Yeah.
journaling. So, and that helps a lot. But
How
yeah,
about
back out on.
this? How about this, Jerry? Now, Jerry, you are divorced. Did you ever journal through some of your journey?
I tried, but journaling just was not my thing. My oldest son suggested that when I was going through the divorce. But it just didn't, it didn't, I mean, I did, but it didn't feel like it was like cathartic, like I thought it would be. For me, it was helpful to talk about it. So I was fortunate in that I had a lot of friends and even people from work, my clients who were with me for years and years and
Yes.
saw me through the years and encouraged me to talk about it. That was the most helpful for me personally. And I did a lot of and painting during that time. So that was not like journaling, but that was what I did that was that I could see like a finished product. Like I put my heart into sketching and painting. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah. We have one person in the audience that said, this is Leslie. She says, my husband has been gone for 4 years. We were married only 2 years. I definitely went through the widow thing. We had plans for the future. So, yeah, there's no one size fits all, it seems like. Bonsi courses, I had a common law wife for 15 years before she passed away 4 years ago. Okay, so there's a lot of experiences that are being represented on the show tonight. How do we bounce back from divorce, from widowhood, from if we decide to kind of get back in the game? I hate to call dating a game, but when we decide to get back in the game, what has to happen inside your head before you meet somebody for a drink or a cup of coffee? It's the last experience you had was with a certain personality, a certain body. They held you a certain way, they kissed you a certain way, and that will never, ever happen again. So now everything is new. How would you move forward? Peg Bell.
Well, thoughtfully and lovingly reflect, but don't ruminate. And life is a gift every day. And no, we are unique, just as our person, or was unique. And personally, from my experiences, my relationship, were just outstanding. I mean, people would stand in line to have what we had. And my thing is, I feel I meant to be paired. I enjoyed being paired. I did well being paired, easy to get along with, et cetera, and so on. And so in moving forward, I can remember all the beautiful things and memories and experiences in the past and bring them with me, all those good memories. But I'm not going to ruminate on something that isn't there anymore, because what good is that going to do? And
Right.
for as good as those things were that I've had in the past, I can't think but anything positive that's going to happen in my future, because my
Yeah.
relationships were just really solid, really good. So that's how I'm moving forward. And you see how it goes. I'm older now, and statistics are against women, of a certain age or what have you. But I don't care about that. I'm not a number. I'm Peg, and
Right.
somebody out there is wanting a Peg in their life, as well as that person would fit nicely in mine. So
Right.
just try to remain positive.
Yeah. Jerry, what are your thoughts?
well, I would say I've been divorced 7 years, so I approach it much differently now than I did 7 years ago. I was very naive 7 years ago because when I had my very first coffee date, not even 2 months after my divorce, it was a setup. Someone I knew this person. And I had not dated since I was 17. So to say I was green, I was green. So I think I was nervous. I don't think I made not that I made a bad impression by any means, but I think I gave the impression I wasn't ready. So each time after that, it got a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And then, then I eventually met someone that, was interested in a relationship as well. So it gets easier. I would say now I approach it with more caution. And I hate to say I'm a little bit more callous, but, you meet so many people throughout the years. And I think, and I'm a very trusting person. And I have learned in my experience as a woman, I'm sure as a man too, but you have to kind of be careful because not everyone has your best interest at heart. So I didn't know that 7 years ago. Like I say, I was like starting at square one. So I would say, yes, I approach it differently, a little bit more slowly and with just a little bit more caution than I would have.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. John, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, sitting here, observation, George. Jerry and Peg are sitting in nice houses. You're sitting in a shed, and I'm sitting in a garage.
Oh, that is great. That is great.
Just a observational thing. Not writing anything into this.
Right.
You know. So just a thing. I think it's important you be able to be comfortable in your own skin by yourself and be able to stand on your own 2 feet. Get that confidence back. Okay? And because you have to love yourself, like yourself, before you can like or love anyone else.
Yeah, it would kind of stink being in a relationship with a person who doesn't really respect or like themselves.
I mean, I don't need a mother. I don't need a nurse, right? I really don't need a woman. I might want one, but I don't need one. I can
Right.
stand on my own.
Right.
And with the advent of the microwave, it's much easier.
You're right. You're right. It's funny how after a certain age, and I think I can speak for most of us, we don't need a mama, we don't need a maid. We don't need. We don't have a lot of needs. We have desires, not a lot of needs. I mean, I'm happy. I'm comfortable. I would love a companion. I would love a companion. Is my life hell without one? No. But there is a little piece that's missing that I would like. And the quest, I feel like it's a Monty Python quest, is that you have to, I don't know, you got to kiss a lot of frogs first. It's just, in this day and age, it's a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Peg, as you are getting back out there, or when you did get back out there, was there a lot of frog kissing, or was it more intellectual? Did the man check your list intellectually?
There was no frog kissing, and like I'm talking, when I first started the online thing, I used I probably shouldn't say the dating service or whatever, but
you don't have to, Peg.
Okay, it was eHarmony, and I attracted a couple of gentlemen, and they were really smart, and I thought I did a pretty decent profile on it, and the one guy said, "Well, you're probably scared most of them away," and just by my must-haves or whatever you want to call those, and I go, "Well, good. The faster, the better." Because if they weren't going to meet the minimum criteria, they don't, I don't need that. But anyway, so I wound up talking to this person for quite a long time, just like messaging and we talked on the phone and stuff. And wasn't a fit, nice guy, but wasn't a fit for me. And he's married now. And another, he was a widower, and I met another widower, and gosh. again, just a really smart guy, but it just wasn't a good chemistry fit. But we remained friends. As a matter of fact, he called me up and said, "You want to go for a road trip?" And I know he was, it would be nothing. And I said, "Sure, where to?" He goes, "Well, I'm going to look at a car up close to where you live." And I thought, if I buy it, I need somebody to drive my car back home. So that aspect worked out okay. But there was a handful of scammers, and there for a little bit, I felt like I was their antivirus to the website, because I'd Google search their image and so on and so forth. Felt like more like a job than anything else. And then I met Dan on our time, and he just lived, 10 miles from me. It was just like a fit. It was a good fit, like hand in glove. He loved the farm, outside work. He could do just about anything: carpenter, mechanic, machinist, and builder. And he was building a project just down the road from me, and so. Yeah, and it just we took it really slow. We took it, because he was like, "Ooh, dating a widow," kind of a thing. And it was a month before he came inside the house.
Yeah.
He would come before work, because his project was just 4 miles from me, and we'd sit out. He'd drink our morning drinks, eat breakfast, and chitty chat for a little bit. Then he was off to work. So that's how we got to know one another. Slow and easy.
What I'm wondering is,
George.
Go ahead, John.
Let me throw something out here. I have a 20-year-old son. Okay, and COVID hit second half of his senior year in high school, and he hasn't even been in a college classroom yet. Yet he's almost graduating with an associate's. I think young people, like for us, we had the benefit, we were pre-internet. We were PI.
Yep.
And so we had to, like, high school was dating, like your junior, senior year, when you could get your driver's license. That was kind of boot camp. Okay. And you went out on dates. You had to learn how to behave yourself and do everything. You go to college, and that's sort of maybe intermediate to advanced level. And then, but once again, it was interpersonal relationships and interactions and meeting people on campus and in clubs and in activities and things of this nature. And then, you graduate and you go into the real world, and you're sort of equipped to deal with that. Right? And now there's doesn't seem to be much, if any, of that. And so my fear is that young people today don't know how to interact with each other. They don't know how to carry a conversation. They don't know how to do things. It's, let's hook up. Let's, skip all the formalities, okay, whatever. And I think that that's a major cause. I think there's going to be no benefit to this. And I see major blowback of this.
Yeah. That's
going to come to a head in 10, 15, 20 years. And we won't be a better society for it.
Yeah, there's going to be a delayed reaction, I believe.
That's the word, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you all think? I mean, I'm looking at it like watching my son maneuver through this minefield. And I'm not even going into the woke, everything's a microaggression business. I'm just talking
Right.
about, meeting people. I mean, my son is almost scared to talk to a girl for fear of offending her.
Right. Right. What are your
And
thoughts,
then,
Jerry?
As far as well, my children are grown, and 2 out of 3 of them are married. So when they dated, it was not that many years ago, but a number of years ago, that it was still, you'd go out on dates in person. They were fortunate. Even my youngest son, who was a long-term girlfriend, none of them met online. They met local people. Well, my oldest son, she wasn't local, but she was still from Pennsylvania. They met at a fraternity party, but still they all met organically. And I think that is something that in this age group, trying to meet someone is the most difficult. It is nearly impossible to meet someone organically, which
Yeah.
is we'll do the online thing, because really, once you're 50, 55, a little bit older, where do you meet someone? Whereas when you're younger, whether it be in college, whether it be on the job, people, even before COVID, let's say, got together more. The younger people were more likely to have parties. It becomes more difficult as you get older. And I think when you meet someone online, it can work, certainly, but I just don't think, I feel like there's not that level of consideration if you had met them, like, let's say at a coffee shop, that you both went for coffee every morning. You'd meet, you'd chat, you would get to know them as a human being a little bit. So you wouldn't be as likely to ghost them, or they you, or something like that. So
Yeah.
I think that is a big problem with dating at a certain age, personally. And I find my children, fortunately for them, did not have to go through that. So,
I mean, uh, we face some of the same issues in a way, but um, it's harder, like you say, meeting people and meeting the right people.
right. Hmm.
Meeting people's not hard. Meeting the right people,
Right.
the right kind of people you want to hang out and be with and everything, that's tougher.
Well,
And
yeah. Well, and here's another thing: when you meet someone online, I think you meet them for coffee, and you make kind of a split decision. Whereas again, if you met someone, I love the my favorite is the coffee shop, because every morning I go to a local coffee shop. So let's say you met someone there, and every morning you'd see them for coffee. You would get to know them as a human, and you would not make that split-second decision based on, all right, how tall are they, what color are their eyes, all these ridiculous things.
but
Because
you do make that decision.
you
You're
do.
just not doing it in a split second.
Right. And that decision, let's say you've always wanted a woman with blue eyes, and you met someone with brown eyes at the coffee shop. You would get to know her as a person. And it really, I mean, that's a silly example, but you know what I'm trying to say? The blue eyes wouldn't matter. But when you're meeting someone online, you've got on your profile like what you're looking for, or in your head, or somewhere on a piece of paper, or wherever. You might not even realize it, but we all do. Um, or we have a certain, let's say, level of like what to some degree we want that person to be, I don't know, to be a business person. I'll use that as an example. And let's say you meet someone organically who isn't, but you get to know them as a person. I just think that I think that is the best way to meet someone.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying it's difficult.
Oh, it's still difficult to meet the right person. Yes, yes. But online,
I,
it's like a catalog. It's like a candy store.
oh, I know. Or is it this way? I can't remember. Hold on.
Yeah.
or this way or that way, you know.
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
so yeah, I mean, you miss all the fun little things. Like I told you about the Greek girl that was my fiance. Well, she was a model. She was 6 foot, 6'1", and she was sitting at a table. And I walked up and asked her to dance, and she stood up. And I'm like, okay, you know, okay. She's looking down. I'm looking up. It worked out anyway. But you know, so. You kind of miss those little funny things, you know.
Yeah.
And but I don't know. It's just strange because I'm sort of entering into that world as the newbie on the block, and I found that the dating pool, if you will, of women 50 and above is rich. I mean, there's some outstanding women in that group. And, you know, so I'm 60. Well, I turn 64 in a couple of weeks, so. See, I'm all 62, George.
I see. Yeah,
and I love these women who come on, and I think they've watched, and I'm not denigrating you ladies, but it's funny, they have these like really high expectations, like they've watched too many Hallmark movies. And no one can meet that.
Yeah.
You know, no one can meet that.
Yeah.
And
it is difficult, John, because I just think that Jerry and I have talked about this, about, you know, you can go out and sit at a bar, club, coffee shop, whatever, and you might be approached by 1 or 2 people if you're a woman. Online, you go online and you'll be approached by 20 people. So there's this little kid in a candy store thing going on, and the numbers and the attention are all exciting, but when you start meeting people, let's just say that original 20 men, you'll knock off easily. Let's just say you meet all 20. You will boil that down to maybe 1 or 2. Maybe 1 or 2.
I said 3, but okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, because it's always like, who's next? What's next? Ooh,
Yeah.
And, you know, you made the analogy about driving a used car, or going and test driving a car. You know, the question is, how many people test drove it before you did?
Right.
I'm sorry, ladies, that's a little crass, but it works. That works both sides of the street.
Well, with the way women are today, we get ridden too. So let's that door goes in both directions.
That's
we
what
can't
I'm
just say that
saying.
about women.
You know.
I think I've been test driven a few times myself. So I can't say that I'm just the only test driver out there. That's just me.
But I don't know. So where are we going with this now? What's the next question?
Yeah, the next question will be, what is the hope for future companionship? Is it the Katharine Hepburn thing, live nearby and visit often? Or is it the old-fashioned way of building something and then have it culminate in marriage? Is it just stay friends that fool around forever? Is it just kissing cousins? Is it like, what is the future for us? I know we evolve, Many of us have changed. John, you've changed since I've known you. Peg, you've changed since I've known you. Jerry, my God, Jerry, when I met you, you were blonde hair. I mean, and now you got the silver hair going. So it's like a whole it's like a you're presenting a different person to the world. And I always like to say that when you put out certain bird seed, you attract different kinds of birds. When I put out thistle, I get songbirds and finches. When I put out the sunflower seeds, I get the blue jays and cardinals, the bigger birds. And I feel that the way we look is like putting out bird seed. I know I attract a different kind of woman when I have a beard than when I am clean shaven or when I have just a goatee. Last year, I shaved my head bald. That brought some women out of the woodwork that I had no idea would even respond to that. And of course, half the time when I do stuff with my appearance, it's always a test because it's very rarely ever permanent. And I've done it for so long, at least for 2 decades, that I've almost made mental notes on what's attracted to what during certain stages. And you go to a biker bar, you're going to meet a certain kind of person there than if you go to a coffee shop. If you have a beard down to here, you're going to meet a certain kind of person than if you have a beard to here. So have all of you found that if you tweak something about your appearance, do you attract something different as a result of that? Or do you just try one mode and say, it doesn't work, I'm done, that's it? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I personally, when I first started, I had very short blonde hair, very short. And that was good because there are some men out there that really like short hair, but I had gotten sick of it. So then I let it grow. And then I noticed there were more people coming out. And actually, since I've made the transition to silver, interestingly enough, because I remember my daughter said to me, Mom, are you sure you want to do this? She said, I think it would look nice, but you're on those dating sites and, men might judge you and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? So what? And I would say it has been the most favorable response I've noticed. Interestingly enough, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
So, but that's really the main thing that has changed about throughout the year.
Well, it was a shocker to me when I saw your silver hair. I was like, whoa, wow, like, holy cow, that really is something. And I prefer silver hair. I prefer a woman who embraces all of that and just kind of lets it go. That's kind of, and that's the basis of how you and I know each other. Peg, how about yourself?
As far as like changing on the dating profile, my hair was short then, and it's short now. And I have been thinking about growing it out. So it's really interesting, Jerry, your take on that. What was the other part of the question?
What is your experience with altering how you look and what you attract?
Well, I guess I'm just so new at it. There really hasn't been a difference. I mean, I've always tried to stay classic and stay nature-based as far as like taking pictures outside, something in a natural environment. So I don't know if having a professional photo shoot would make a difference or not. What they're I know guys are visual, but what they're getting past the visual can only get you so far. But it's what's in here and what's in here that's gonna be the duration. And I expect very much the same for my person. Handsomeness and beauty is great, but what really fortifies the nectar of life is what is in their heart and in their head, and how you connect. So that's what I'm looking for. But so I can't really say that a change in my profile pictures or look or anything like that has made any difference. I know age-wise, statistically speaking, that without like dating, online dating or whatever, for a woman of my age, it's 1 in 562 that you're going to meet your person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
About the same odds as being struck by lightning. Isn't
Oh gosh.
it?
That
Hey,
sounds-
I've been struck twice, so it could be better.
Oh. Oh man. Oh man.
If
I know.
I think Thea is with us. Thea, click the link. I posted the link to it. Thea is in our age category. So Thea, if you want to join us, please do so, and we'll get your take on everything.
For me, I lost, God, in the last 18 months, close to 80 pounds.
wow.
Gotten
Good for
fit.
you.
That's great.
Got a tattoo.
That's cool.
I can't see it.
Let's see. Let me twist it.
Oh yeah. That's great.
There. It's upside.
You do look much thinner, John. Like ridiculously thinner.
Well, my little soiree overseas, why I don't recommend that particular diet, I lost 20 pounds there. Just through eating better. It's funny, the portions are smaller, the food's better, no junk food. Couldn't get your hands on it a lot of times if you wanted. And the activity.
All that
I mean,
walking.
just, yeah, a lot of walking.
Let's see.
Right.
Yeah.
And lifting and carrying. I channeled my inner pack mule while I was over there because I was always hauling upwards to 80 pounds of gear sometimes when we went out into the field and went on location.
Right.
And so that made the biggest change though was my change in confidence and ability of myself. That I think became the most, if you will, attractive characteristic.
Sure.
And everything else is just, icing. Window dressing, as they would say.
Yeah. Well, Thea from the West Coast, how are you doing?
Hi. Doing good. Washington.
You are familiar with this topic. What would you like to share about the topic?
Well, I was listening to everything while I was working, and so there was a lot of questions there. So maybe you want to ask me one that you already asked.
Yeah. How do you
answer?
How do you find dating at your age? Is it something you're interested in? Is it frustrating for you? Is it different for you? Is it exciting for you?
Like some other discussion that was going on about online dating, I had tried that. I've been divorced for 12 years, in case not everybody knows. I've been divorced for 12 years. I did the online thing for a while and just doesn't, I don't know. It's very unnerving for me. It just doesn't feel natural for me. So I prefer, it would be nice to meet somebody out there, in the real world and in a natural way, and just let it take its course. And I haven't dated in over a year and a half, and that's not because I don't want to. I would love to meet someone. I don't know what it is. I don't have a resting bitch face, and I'm a very warm, friendly, engaging person, and always have a smile on my face when I'm out there and stuff. And so anyway, so yeah, so just it just hasn't happened, and I would like it to happen, and I'm open to it. But I'm also very okay that it hasn't happened. I've since my last serious relationship, I was engaged, but that was 5 years ago, and in those 5 years, I've only dated a couple of times, and just didn't work out, and that's fine. And so yeah, it's harder. It is harder, definitely, when I was in my, teens and 20s, and yeah, it's a completely different, but we're very different people from, that age as well. We're a little more careful. We're, pay more attention to red flags. When you're young, what's a red flag? I have no idea, whereas now we're like, well, I don't have a lot of time to waste and throw away, and and yourself a little better, hopefully, and what you're willing, what's worth working on, what's not worth working on with somebody, and then again paying attention to those red flags, and so yeah, so it is very different. It is very different. Plus, I think it is a little more different for women as we get older than it is for men. That expression, men age like wine and women like milk, which I don't agree with, which is I think
I never
What?
heard
a terrible expression, but
That's funny.
I've heard that often.
Oh
I've heard
my
that
God.
often.
I hear
Yeah.
it a lot. I hear it a lot. And and I'm thinking, well, wine does spoil eventually, and sour milk turns to very fine cheeses. So there you go. You know? So I tend to look at it that way,
Yeah.
and so I think it is, especially in our society, it's the focus is so much on youth, especially for women. There is some of that pressure for men, but that it's definitely on women. And I know men have their pressure. I know that there's that pressure of how much does he make and what kind of car does he drive and does he own his own home. And that's ridiculous too, as well. I think you can't go through life looking through either of those lenses. It's foolish, I think. So, but my heart is open to it completely, and I'm just trying to be a lot wiser because I've made my mistakes. My mistakes have impacted my girls, and that's also very important to me. And even though they are adults, my oldest is 30, my youngest is going to be turning 20 next month in November, and but I'm still their mom, and it doesn't matter what the age get, how old you are and how old they are. You're still their parent, and they still look to you to be a little bit more ahead of the game than them, no matter how old you get. And so I always have that in my mind too. And so when I'm bringing a man into my life, I'm not just bringing him into my life, I'm bringing him into their life. And that's very important to me, that
Yeah.
I make wise choices. And yeah, so long answer, I guess.
Here's a question for everybody. And over the summer, I did a show on a pretty regular basis called Table for One, which was based upon my experience of going out as a single man and the hostess at a restaurant, looking for your partner, and you're walking in, and I'm just there to eat. I'm not on a date or anything. They look around, and a lot of times they bypass you and they go to couples because they think you're coming in and waiting for your second half to arrive. And then eventually they realize you're just standing there waiting to get seated. And can I help you? And my response is, table for one, please. So that's why I started my summer series this past summer called Table for One, where I would literally be having dinner in front of you talking about a lot of these issues. Starting with Jerry, what are your thoughts on Table for One? You've been divorced 7 years.
Uh-huh.
Have you gone out to eat by yourself?
No.
Are you a person that does things by yourselves? And
I
do you prefer it or do you not like it?
I do things by myself, but not typically go out to eat. I will pick up food and take with me. I would prefer not to go out to eat by myself. That is one thing I prefer not to do by myself. I mean, I will go to an art gallery, or I will go to a museum, or I will listen to even live music, but I'm not comfortable going to a restaurant by myself. Now, I've met girlfriends, certainly. I do that all the time. But you are right. When you're just one person, because I know this happens all the time. Like I'll meet a girlfriend and she'll say, well, whoever gets there first, get the table. And, you're kind of waiting with a bunch of people, and they do sometimes overlook you if you're alone, even though I'm waiting for somebody. But I'm just not personally super comfortable with going out to eat alone. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How about you, Peg?
I don't hear her.
Well, could you read my lips?
Yeah.
I couldn't.
I don't have a problem with going out to eat by myself. And actually, when I go out to eat, it's a little bit of a treat. I can watch the crowd, or keep an eye on the family on a table over there, just to see their dynamics of their family. It's kind of like, oh man, they must have a really good relationship. Or it's like, oh man, they're heading for a brick wall. But I'll bring a book, a magazine, or like whatever, the rural newspaper, and do a little reading there. And usually when I go, it's not busy, so but I don't have a problem going out to eat by myself. I think the first time after my husband passed, it was a struggle. The first couple of times, because I kept looking for him to come, expecting him to meet me at the table. I mean, realistically, no, but that's what it felt like. But after that, it's just, it's a treat to get to go out to eat. So, and like you said, table for one. Otherwise, they're gonna put you at a table with 4 chairs or more, and just get a little booth or something, and I'm good.
Yeah, one of the solutions I found was if it's a restaurant that has a bar at it, many times I'll just go to the bar and have dinner. And most restaurants will give you a full menu while you're sitting at the bar, and I find that can be fun, sitting at the bar, because it's a more social kind of thing. If I'm not as in a, if I don't feel social, then I'll get a small table or something like that. But many times sitting at the bar and having dinner is kind of a fun thing. John Hoover, how about table for one? What are your thoughts?
Please do not sit me by the wait station. Out of the way in the corner. I'm perfectly fine with it. And here's something fun to do. And
John, can you cut your fan, please? Can you cut your
I'm
fan?
sorry.
Thank you.
I don't have AC in the garage except for the fan. So
That's right,
Yeah.
you're in Texas.
I know, so. But no, I don't have any problem with going out to a restaurant by myself, or a movie, traveling. No biggie, no biggie. And so,
Okay.
I don't know what else to add to that. It's not an issue with me.
Yeah. Thea, tell me about table for one.
Table for one. So, like I had talked to you before about Georgia. After my divorce, didn't date or anything. I made that decision not to date for a couple of years, and so I started going out pretty much going out by myself, going to the movies. I go to, a movie pretty much on like a Friday or Saturday night, go out to eat beforehand and then go to a later show. And like Peg said, at first it was awkward, it was weird because, I was married for a while, a long time, and to all of a sudden, be on your own and everything. But I very quickly just enjoyed it and really, really liked having that time by myself and just going out and just feeling comfortable in my own skin. And so, yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. I still do it occasionally, though, I do have a very close girlfriend of mine that I've gotten to know over the last few years. So she and I do a lot of stuff together, and that's great. But yeah, I don't have any issue. And if I went to a restaurant, I just would walk right up and they're like, oh, how many in your party? Just one, please. Just walk right up and just party one,
Mhm.
seat me.
Yeah.
I never felt ignored or anything, but what was awkward for it more than anything was people do look. People do have a tendency, to look. And that was probably the hardest part for me, was just getting those looks, walking to the table by myself, sitting there eating by myself. And then people would pass my table coming in, or people at other tables would be like looking over. And,
Yeah.
that was probably the most awkward thing for me, but I took to it pretty quick and enjoyed it. So yeah, I don't,
Mhm.
yeah. I do like it. I do like doing it still. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Somebody
George,
asked. Yeah, go ahead, John.
I did do an interesting experiment one night in Bucharest in Romania. Put on my suit and tie, got all cleaned up. Saturday night, went to a very nice Italian restaurant by myself, outside terrace and everything, really nice.
Mm.
Sat down and everything, and it was really funny. People would walk in, look over, and I'm having my cigar and a scotch and eating and everything, and they're like, who's this guy? And whatever. And then for fun, if I saw a couple walk in, I'd like nod at the lady, like, hi. And the guy would be like, who's that? Do you know him? And it was just fun just to kind of crack them up a little bit, have a little fun. But it's interesting um, how if you're dressed, appearance, you're treated differently than if I would have walked in there with just a shirt and jeans. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's interesting. There's interesting dynamics in a restaurant, and
Interesting. Here's
a
a
lot
question.
going on.
Here's a question. Leslie says she's in the audience right now. She says, would you ever go on a cruise by yourself? I have gone on many cruises. I have never gone on a cruise by myself. And I always had a partner going on a cruise. Always. But there are single people, solo people that go on cruises. Jerry, would you go on a cruise by yourself?
That's a good question. I don't know. Possibly, because just like you said, there are single people on cruises. So I might be more likely to go on a cruise by myself than go somewhere else by myself. I mean, I never really thought of it, but I'd say possibly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thea.
Oh, I've never been on a cruise. I've been on boats, but I've never been on a cruise. I oh, if somebody offered it to me and said, here's a free trip, here's a free ticket, then I would probably venture and do it. But to set it up myself and do it myself, I don't know that I would. That's not sure. But like I said, if somebody said, here's a ticket, I can't go, here, go in my place, I think I'd
Yes.
do it.
Yeah. Okay. Peg Bell, what do you think? Would you go on a cruise?
Nope. Wouldn't go on a cruise. Wouldn't go on a cruise. My thought on cruise ships are like floating petri dishes.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's kind of like the skeeve. It would kind of skeeve you out a little bit. Okay.
Well, that and like, the seasickness kind of a thing. I just don't think
Yeah.
it would work. No, I could be flown somewhere and go on my own. I don't have a problem with that, but cruise ships, no.
Okay. All right. Well, John, what do you think? Would you go on a cruise by yourself?
I went on a cruise with my family once, and I kept thinking like, how well does the man overboard system work, and can I defuse it and jump, or would the fall from the balcony just kill me outright?
Right.
I didn't like the experience. I mean, I've spent years, if combined total time, on ships.
Yeah.
And I had more fun on a dive ship with 60 other guys than on a cruise ship. It's just too,
Right.
I mean, me and 3,000 of my closest friends jammed into a boat. Can you picture a more horrible scenario?
Yeah.
I'll consider
Right.
myself warned.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it just, no. Now, could I go on a cruise? I mean, technically, could I go on a cruise by myself and survive? Probably very well.
Mhm.
Okay. But would I want to get on a cruise boat? I can't think of anything that would prompt me to do that. Plus, also, for the amount of money you spend on a cruise, that's airfare to a major European city and
Sure.
probably a week's accommodation.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah.
cruise
Weigh it out.
ship,
Sure.
3,000 megals, or cool European city. Yeah. Okay. Just my
Interesting.
thought.
Rhonda Coleman in the audience says 2 cruises after her husband died, table for 1, and she enjoyed it. Okay. Excellent. Tony 513 says he's planning to go to Ireland by himself in the near future. Leslie says she has no desire to go on a cruise by herself. Chan Duell says cruises give plenty of time away to read and ponder. Tracy Prince says I do one of those barefoot cruises by myself, but not into the regular cruising. Entourage says if I go as a single person, I'm talking to every woman, just have fun, might lead to someone good. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Well, I think we had some great topics tonight. I love the synergy with everybody. And Thea, I'll give you a final word.
Pressure. No. Final word. You want to give me a topic to have a final word on?
What are you trying to accomplish? I know, pressure. How about this? What are your goals for the next 3 months? What are you going to do? What are you going to accomplish in the next 3 months before the end of the year? Now that we're in the fourth quarter. I'm
just really, really focused on my my business. I have a business. It's not a big deal. I have a booth, a space in an antique mall. So I primarily deal with vintage clothing, vintage jewelry, especially Native American jewelry. That's my specialty. I have some furniture and things like that. So it's really grown. I have a lot of regulars that come back specifically for my booth. So just continuing to build that, getting back to also building my business online as well on Instagram, because I do have an Instagram shop, but I've really let that go by the wayside because I've been so focused on my brick and mortar space. And so that's kind of taken a back seat, but I want to get focused back into listing things on there as well. And yeah, right now that's just my focus. My 20-year-old, well, soon to be 20-year-old daughter, she's going to be starting college in the winter semester, and just keeping her just motivated and organized. She's a little disorganized, very opposite of me. I'm very organized, and so with that, but she's a very independent kid. But it just, sometimes she just needs a little nudge here and there. But she's great. So she's starting school. She's going to be doing welding. She's going to learning a trade. She wants to be a welder. So just helping her be, keep her on track with that and keeping focused with that. And just growing my business and online, as well as continuing to possibly opening a second space, because I have been doing so well with the space I have. So either having a second space or moving into a bigger space. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on. And like I said, my heart is completely open. If I meet someone wonderful, I've learned to be a lot less afraid of being alone. And which is, I think, a very good place for me to be, because I was not always like that by nature. But I've really learned that, and I'm not bitter about it. Have a lot of peace around it. I mean, there are definitely times I do get lonely. That's without doubt, but a lot of us single people do. We deal. That's just the nature of it. So that's part of it. But for the most part, I'm just very focused on those things. And if it comes along, it comes along, and and that's it. Yeah. And I'm grateful.
Excellent.
I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for where
Excellent.
I am in my life. I really am. Have a lot of gratitude.
We appreciate you and your contribution to the channel here whenever you show up. So definitely, we just want to let you know that. Peg Bell, any last words?
Oh goodness. Well, it was a pleasure to meet Jerry and Thea. It's nice to put a face to a name. I see you say hi in the chat all the time. John and George, always a pleasure. Last words. Dating at a certain age. You're kind of only as old as you feel. For the youngsters, don't give up. Do it right. For older folk, what is it that you want for the remainder of your life? And do you want to spend it with someone? If not, that's okay. But if you do, it's, people are out there. So don't give up hope. Don't give up faith. And do it right. Do it for yourself. And also, if you have to become a pair.
Excellent. That's a good word, Peg. John Hoover, any last words for us?
Last word for you, George. Just real quick. I'm sitting here smoking, I know, a Punch Cuban cigar from the Mecca, Davidoff.
Yeah.
And I have 4 hand-selected cigars by Davidoff. Now 3. Very fine smoke. Enjoyed it this evening. And my last word is Excelsior.
Excellent. 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 I like that. Jerry.
Well,
First time guest on the panel. What are your last words?
Well, I'd like to thank you for inviting me on this show. And also, it's been a pleasure to meet everyone, each and every one of you. And it's interesting to listen to other people's perspectives. This has been so much fun. I think it's something I'll say is what I try to remind myself of every single day. And I know it sounds cliche, but I try to remind myself it's the journey, not the destination. And I know because I personally become so fixated on the destination, and then I forget to enjoy the process. So that is something that I'm trying to. So
Excellent. I like that. I like that. And my last word is I would love to have maybe one more person on the panel, a panel of 6, and do this again. If you're all open to doing this again, I will let you know, and I'll pick a topic. And what we could do is if everybody has a photo that they could send me, I'll create a thumbnail, kind of a standard thumbnail of the 6 of us, and then the topic that we'll have, and I'll plan it. You know, this was kind of like last minute. I know I had texted Jerry and said, you know, can you be on? She's like, when? I said, in 15 minutes. So, and I'm not normally that spontaneous, but I thought, what the heck? So, but I'll create a thumbnail with 6 headshots and put a topic on it. We'll plan it. We'll say, like, you know, Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock. We're going to be, this panel is going to be talking about X, Y, Z, and make it different, because you got to realize that the majority of the people who are watching this are half our age. All of us here are, in all of us here are 60 plus, minimum 60. So
I'm 56. I just turned 56 on the 23rd.
Oh, okay, you're 56. Okay.
The youngster.
But all right, so all of us are over 50. I'll say it that way. All of us are over 50, and the audience, much of the audience, is half our age. So,
Hey, George.
Yes, sir.
Good name. 6 Ed.
What's that mean? Explain that.
Instead of sex ed, 6 Ed.
Oh. All right.
Well, I'd be curious if the 6th person is going to be male, if they're going to show up on the stream either in the garage or in the shed or some other place.
Well, there's only 2 other options: under an overpass,
Or the van by the river.
or 3 options: van by the river or county jail.
Oh,
I gotta find a guy who's got a man cave and make sure that he's broadcasting from the man cave. That's funny. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll do it again. We'll stay in touch. And I appreciate all of your input very, very much. Have a great night.
It was a pleasure.
Everybody.
A pleasure.
good night.
Okay,
Okay.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.